and welcome back to the channel again. I'm the Novice Railway Modeller, and in this episode I'm delighted to report that finally, after months and months and months, maybe 6 to 8 months, this fiddle yard is finally complete. So this episode is going to be about how not to build a fiddle yard going forward, using my experiences. Just as a timestamp for this video, we're looking at September of the Railway Modeller calendar, and we are here, Friday the 12th of September. I've only got a couple of days this weekend, and next week's a busy week because I'll be going away. So here's a look down the fiddle yard, and as you can see, I've just put the tape measure in to give you an indication of the size. So this fiddle yard on the south side of the layout is actually 19'3" in length, which is 586 centimeters, so 5.86 meters. So you can see it's a reasonable length, and the reason why it is a reasonable length is because this is to stable my long full rake HST and class 91 sets. So the fiddle yard is going to be hidden, not really hidden, but put away behind here. So you can see here, I think I've shown you this before for those that are familiar to the channel. So it will ultimately go in there, next stage. Now there are 6 separate boards that make up this fiddle yard, and what I thought I would do is make them easier to put together when I move them the other side, and therefore I use these ModelTech rail aligners. And as you can see, I've used some on a slight angle, and as you can see here, I've actually took it out. So I've relaid this twice when I was re-engineering the point system of the entry exits, and I've relayed the foam because it, as I say, it had melted away. But these are very difficult. I would never ever again use ModelTech rail aligners on a foam board where you've got where you're joining boards together. A number of people have said to me, "Why are you doing that? Why are you using those when it's a permanent it's for your permanent layout, and it's not going to be used for exhibitions and so on and so forth?" Well, the reason why I'm using is A, to test them, and secondly was because I've got 6 individual boards all the way down, and I'm going to be lifting them out and putting them back in. I thought that would be a good way of being able to make sure I've got the tracks aligned together. But as I say, I wouldn't use those Realtech aligners on foam board underlay like this again. Just a no, don't do it. It's very difficult, and they're actually quite a tricky piece of kit actually. I've seen some videos on YouTube of people doing them really well. I perhaps only would use them again if I was building an exhibition layout, and if I was doing it straight onto the board, or maybe onto something a bit firmer like cork. But a lot of people just say they use the copper clad sleepers, and maybe that's the best way, because these are quite expensive actually for what you get. So you can see here I've been doing some correction work. Now it looks unsightly, and if that was on your scenic section, you know, that would have to be covered up, but because it's in the fiddle yard, out of the way and not there on to be seen by everybody, then I'm going to just leave it as it is. I don't see the point in messing around. So here I've got 6 tracks coming into 5, and if you see my other videos you'll know why, because of some strapping that goes across the roof struts encroaches into here when this goes and slides in position. So we go to 5 tracks at this point in time, and then those 5 go into 2 tracks as it starts to bend round the corner. So on each board join I've got these chock block connectors, male and female, so I can literally pull them apart, unscrew the boards from the battens, and then just move the board, take it out off position, and be able to put it where it's going through there. But equally, if you have a problem with the board, then I can just literally get one board out without having to strip the whole fiddle yard out to get to any particular problems. So you can see that I started to curve the track out of the fiddle yard, and that's because, use your imagination, it's coming out of here and we'll be sweeping around here. So I've done that, and I've actually left these longer because rather than use rail aligners to put the tracks together on the joint, I'm just going to allow that to come over into the next board and join them up. So these are glued down here and tacked down with some track tacks, as is other parts of it. To be fair, most of it is glued down with copy decks, but I have got track tacks in place so they don't move. So a few months ago I purchased an NC power cab. Again, if you've seen my earlier videos, you saw me messing around and enduring a couple of old, previously owned Hornby Selects. One which I'm using just to power the accessories at the moment, and the other I was using for the track, but obviously it wasn't appropriate. And as I've developed and wanted to kind of get something much more permanent, and I bought the NC power cab starter pack for 199 quid, I think it was. And as you can see, I've just temporarily wired that up there, and that's feeding all the power to the track, and the power to the points is coming, as I say, from the accessory bus. So yeah, that's the fiddle yard on the south side completed. The reason why I'm saying the south side is because if I spin you around, I've got another one here where the boards are already laid out, which is to go on the north side of the layout. So the fiddle yard to go in there. However, given my learnings from the south side of the fiddle yard, I think I'm going to do it differently. I'm not going to use 6 individual boards like I've done here. I'm going to use as least number of boards as possible and try and get them as long as possible to be able to fit them in. So if I can get 2, maybe 3 boards, long boards, I'm now going to do that, and I'll use these for something else, or if not, they'll get scrapped. So yeah, I'm not going to go through all that exercise again of having 6 boards and all those joints, and all the messing around with regard to soldering and the problems with this foam melting away. So yeah, I'm going to avoid that, but I'll probably use the foam on the boards anyway, and not even use realtech aligners. I might use the copper clad. If not, I'm just going to run the track straight over and join it around somewhere around here after the board join, so that I can just slide them together, because they're not moving. Once they're in, they're in. And whilst I was worried that if something went wrong I could get to each individual board, but I think the chances of that are pretty limited, to be honest, and I'd rather take the risk. I think I can always get from underneath, climb underneath, and see what I can do. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. The only other thing to show you is I've changed this was going to be a roundy layout, and at this point in time it was going to come round here, but I didn't want to be able to be climbing under the board with all the knee problems. And what's now going to happen is that whilst this board here goes underneath here, as you can see, the tracks are heading off, and the tracks are going to head off, just show you underneath, down there. They're going to head off down there, and they're going to run all the way around, excuse the mess, but they're going to run all the way around the loft, around the bottom end, and come back this end here and into this part of the fiddle yard. So they will the mainline tracks will come underneath here and round onto the board, underneath here and round onto the board here. And these are the 2 mainline tracks that I've now started to put into position, so that when it goes behind here, these 2 tracks are coming out, and you'll get a better impression of that when I put the baseboards down after this track's gone into position. So that's really what I'm going to do next. I'm now going to move this, I'm going to clean all the track, and then I'm going to take all the screws out, and I'm going to put it into position, and then I'll cover it up with some plastic, and it'll stay like that. And the next job then will be to I'm going to put the boards in here, which the main track boards will go all the way down here now, which will clearly be a lot wider than this, and then they will come around a loop at the bottom end. And so I'll create that first of all, and then I will probably put the main boards down here all the way down and try and create the mainline track so we get some trains running, because it's been a long time I've been building here without having trains running, and that can be a bit soul destroying when you're not able to enjoy some of the stock that you've been buying in readiness for your forthcoming layout. So I've now got the Fiddle Yard boards off where I was working, and I thought I'd just show you, you can see the amount of electrical work that's had to take place for DCC operation with point motors. There's no block detection here, nothing else fancy, no lights, no LEDs, nothing like that at this stage. But it does take quite a lot of time to get this right. I mean, I have tried to work neatly, but where I've made mistakes and had to go back in, not relayed it as neat. That was the last piece of wiring that I did. Over to the final board. So the board's the opposite way around at the moment, so don't start looking to think, oh, they don't fit together, because I've turned them upside down. They're the wrong way around. But you know, see, that's quite a busy board for the entry-exit system into the Fiddle Yard. So the next job now is to move over here, and so now you can see the task that I've got ahead is to get behind these cross buttons here, these straps, and get into this part of the Fiddle Yard. This is where this is going, in this cavity. And so what I'm going to have to do now is take these buttons, unscrew each one at this point, and they will swivel down, they'll drop down, because they're screwed together with one screw here. I'll just make that a bit wider for you. There you go. So screwed together here. Unscrew these on every of the uprights. This will make the buttons drop to the floor. Then I'll be able to crawl across and drop each of these boards on top. As you can see, I've got some strengtheners here, but these may have to move depending on where the point motors are and whether they get into the right position or not. So I can adjust those at the time. So I've got quite a bit of work ahead of me to get this back in. And you know, wish me luck. So this is the base for the main boards. Now I did intend for the loop to come around this way here, across this gap, but I've subsequently changed my mind and it's going back on the later one round the back. So I won't have space to get behind it, which is what I was intending when I was going to put it here. So I've just pushed it back because it gives me a bit more length for the Fiddle Yard to the main track. But the sockets are already wired up. It came across this loop when the loop was in. So what I'm going to have to do is, one of my jobs is to get the cable to go up and round the back and back down there. So I'll need to get a bit of new mains cable and do that. I had an electrician that put these in, but I think I can do that bit myself, because then I'm not crawling under the boards with the loop and I keep stepping over this cable. So it is in the way, really. It's a bit of a trip hazard, a bit of a danger, so I'm going to get that taken. I'm going to get that fit to try and fit that myself. Wish me luck for that too. So that's what that looks like now. I've dropped the screws off the battens on the back truss, and no, my camera's not at an angle, that's straight, so you can see they've dropped away and down the back. So my next job, probably not for today actually, I think I'm going to give it a rest. I've got a big job tomorrow to clamber behind here, which will be tricky. Make sure that I don't go through the roof. So here's the first board in. I had to do some further adjustments, but as you can see, it's now in position. So that was hard work. I'm panting a bit. Okay, so that's the third Fiddle Yard board in. As you can see, I've had to take out all these support struts that I put in. Somebody on YouTube recommended that I did that. The problem is, underneath they were crossing all the wires and wouldn't settle down straight, so I've had to take them all out. I should never have put them in the first place, but again, as a novice, you're learning about these things and you're taking people's advice. But the third one's in. I've come across a major issue here on this 6th track, and I haven't left enough space, clearance, for the coach. I first thought it was the bagging of the insulation that had got warm over the summer and stretched, but it turns out even where there's a truss coming down on the roof, I can't get the coach on it. So I've made a huge mistake there on the 6th track and rendered it really obsolete, and which means a lot of work's gone into that, and I'm not going to take it all off and reconfigure the width of these because it's just too big a job. I'm just going to have to live with 5 tracks down here. It was always a shorter track anyway because of there's a batten coming across here, which you'll see when I put the next board on. So I'm disappointed about that. Another schoolboy error as a novice. Thought I'd left enough clearance, checked it, but I didn't. So the 6th and final Fiddle Yard board is now in situ in the cavity. So you can see here the 2 tracks that will join onto the main board as it sweeps round. And then you're looking down those 6 boards, where we go from 2 tracks into 5. So everything's in place. All I need to do now is to screw the boards down so they're permanently in position and they don't move. And that was a little bit easier than I thought. I thought it would take me a lot longer. So here's the 5 tracks, and then there's the point that takes it into the 6th track over there. And that's the one I can get my phone in. You can see there that it's just too tight to the to this part of the roof. So before it's been commissioned, I've got an obsolete track. But I'm quite I'm pleased in one way that I've got finally this position after about 6 months of building this. But I'm hugely disappointed about that 6th track. So I've no problem with the clearance on this track here. Let's put the phone down here. This track is fine, it's clears here. This is okay. But it's the far end here where I should have actually put these closer together, more centralised. But you live and learn. So that's an expensive mistake. You can see here that I can actually get my hand in if there are any problems into the cavity. The only challenge I've got is here. There's a double strap across. So if I just take you down there. So for example here, I can't get in above or below, but I can get my hand inside if there's anything. So I can do that. And the same there. And then on here where the lower strap is on, I can get over the top and I can mess around there on 3 of those, and then we've got a double strap right at the end. So yeah, so I can get into resolve any problems, do a bit of cleaning, etc, etc, so that helps. Although here, in here will be a backboard. I'm just working out how I'm going to design that to be able to fit in. I had the idea where it would just rest on the back and then have something support that would come out, maybe magnetised, that I could just pull off. So any ideas that you have, sorry for my finger, any ideas you have about building, putting that baseboard, the backboard in, would be great. Someone actually built something that could slot in, but it's a case of lifting it up, making sure there's enough clearance to be able to pull it out of the slots. So obviously I want the board to cover these straps, so you can't see that, but equally I need to be able to get it off and get inside should I need to do. I just wanted to show you one of the problems that you have with these ModelTech rail aligners. Now I've got them, the fiddle yard in the cavity, I've suddenly realised that this one has come off its, this one has come off its, can you see? The solder's come undone. And I would not recommend these at all, even for an exhibition layout, because you're moving them all the time. And look, it's just come off the solder too easy. There's a lot of solder on there. So now I'm going to have to get the solder in from this angle here, solder iron in, and try and get them back on. And if I can do that without melting the foam underlay underneath and then causing an alignment problem on the height, then I'll do well. But I've had this problem a number of times. I do not recommend these ModelTech rail aligners. After months and months and months, maybe 6 to 8 months, this fiddle yard is finally complete.